Right, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So I've got a treat for you today. I've got lovely Jo with me. So Jo is a multi-dimensional channel. She's a healer and she does this lovely artwork, which I was really drawn to when I saw it on her page. So we thought today we'd have a chat with Jo and just see how she works, and how she creates her artwork. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her journey as well. So I know that many of you on here are really spiritual, so you're interested in all these sort of subjects. So I thought this would be a good one for you to tune in and watch. So Jo, thank you for coming,
Hi,
joining
so
me today.
so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this chat, Tracy.
Bless you. Right, Jo, so like, tell us, when did it start? How long have you been doing this stuff? How long have you been doing this work?
Well, going way back to being a child, I wasn't one of these people that at 4 years old I was seeing spirit. That wasn't me. That's not my journey. But certainly from about the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, that kind of age, I was just obsessed with everything occult, as they called it in those days.
Oh,
There used to
right,
be a
yeah.
in the library, didn't they? And I just could not
Yeah.
get enough on astrology, paranormal stuff, all sort of phenomena things that were being and tarot. And I got my first tarot deck when I was 15, and all of the things. And I just used to sit in the library reading books for hours, go home with more books. My mum would be like, "Oh my god, what's she brought home now?" And I was just so fascinated. And I knew that I could sense things that other people couldn't. And as I got older, people would always be like, like my friends and people that knew me would always be saying, "Oh, Jo," it was like they were attracted to my light. They would be offloading their burdens to me. They would be asking my advice about things. And I just thought people just found me like helpful. I didn't really understand it much at that age, to be honest. And my life carried on, and I had some really significant, pivotal moments in my life where I realised that I was a medium, that I could speak to spirit, that I could connect in with my past loved ones and the past loved ones of others. And actually, I was pretty good at reading the cards, and I was very intuitive and psychic.
Yeah.
And so I started that journey with doing readings for people. And I actually, after many years, because I kind of just did it in the quiet, I was in the broom closet, as it were, came out the broom closet I would say about 5 years ago,
Okay.
and started talking more openly. So 5 years ago isn't actually that long, is it?
No, not
And it's
really.
been like a real speed up journey since
Yeah,
then. It's been a bit wild. It's almost like I opened the floodgates. It's like,
yeah,
right, she's done it. She's stepped over the threshold. Now we're gonna launch it out.
yeah.
So in so during that first couple of years, obviously we had everything that was going down in 2020, didn't we?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
I was getting really activated during that time. And there's one story actually when I was out walking my dog, and I just got this guy's voice come through to me that I used to work with,
yeah,
and he basically said hi, and I was like, "Hi." And he was like, just popping in to say hi and how much fun we used to have when we worked together. And I was like, okay, it's a bit odd. This is a bit odd. Anyway, a few hours later, I went online, and he passed away a few moments before, or it got put on Facebook around a little bit of time before I received, or a little bit of time after I received that message.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, I get it now. Oh, got goosebumps just talking about it.
yeah,
And so he was obviously passing away, or had just passed, or whichever
yeah,
way. He was transitioning at that point. And at that moment, that was a pivotal moment for me. And I just thought, oh my goodness, this is actually something that I really need to step into now. It was as though he didn't say anything about that to me, but it was just that moment in time. And I think we've all had
yeah,
those moments in
yeah,
time. Okay, next thing.
yeah,
And I don't think those moments in time ever go away, really. So I then started to do when were able to do. I started doing readings at psychic fairs. I would turn up and I would do tarot readings and mediumship readings, and I started to step into my light language at that point. And I would often, at these places, you can step in and do a workshop or something in
Yeah.
during the day. So I would stand and say, I'd love to do a light language, like a group light language healing. And so that's kind of where it started, in
Yeah.
terms of like really kind of almost getting up on the stage and saying, right, okay, this is what I'm doing.
That's a big jump, isn't it?
I know, I know. And I was crapping myself. I
Yeah.
was like, I was scared. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, what people are going to think. And it was a big thing, but I just thought I couldn't not do it. When you just can't not
Yeah.
do it. I just had to do it. And then during that time as well, I'd become attuned to, I was really drawn to Reiki. So I became attuned to 1 and 2 Reiki. And since then, Reiki Master.
Yeah.
Um, and I stopped doing the fairs because I couldn't do them anymore energetically. It just didn't feel right for me going back to back with people. I was always uber
Yeah.
popular. I had like loads of people
Yeah.
wanting to come to me. And then after a while, it started to feel out of alignment. And then all of a sudden, I'd go to them and I didn't get any clients. And I was like, I now know why. And it was because I just couldn't do. It just didn't feel right for me. Opening space so quickly.
Yeah.
I'm very particular about how I work, how I open that space for people. To be very to do the best and give the best and serve the best that I can.
Mm.
So it just didn't feel
Yeah.
right for me
Takes a
anymore.
lot of energy to do that, doesn't it?
It
Constant
really does.
readings, yeah.
It really does. And it was very draining, and it just
Mm.
wasn't serving me as much as I enjoyed it. And then I just started to not enjoy it. So I came away from that. And that was when I then set up, privately outside of those and started to offer that work,
Mm.
alongside sort of one-to-one coaching and supporting people on their spiritual development journey. So that's kind of how it all began.
Yeah. And then you must have had another big jump then. What's the next
Yeah,
one?
yeah. So the next big jump was attuning, becoming attuned to being a Reiki master. That was the next big jump, and that was only last year. So for those people that are listening to
Wow.
this
Yeah.
is like, my journey has been I feel like it's been really rapid,
Yeah.
but it hasn't been, because it's all unfolded exactly the way it was supposed to
Mm.
when I was ready for it to be unfolded, as it were. Or maybe not even ready, but just basically spirit, I feel, and my guide saying, stop, we're not waiting anymore. You are needed to come out now and actually do this work and
That's
help.
what everyone's journey is different, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
Everyone.
exactly. So when I look back on it now, I do think it was a massive shove. It was
Mm.
like, all of a sudden I'm buying crystals that I hadn't really been drawn to before. I'm doing all these things. My husband's like, what? Where's my wife gone? I'm like, well, I'm still here. I just,
What's all these shiny things?
yeah, exactly. Although obviously he gets the benefit from them.
Yeah.
Um, So I decided to attune to being a Reiki master. And I did all of that, and I enjoyed it. But something happens when that when that achievement happened. I didn't do the Reiki master teacher thing. I wasn't interested in the teaching. But
Yeah.
something happened in relation to my energy work at that point, where further gateways were opened for me in
Mm.
relation to what I was connecting to, and how I was undertaking the healing work that I was doing for people.
Yeah. Amazing. So we did briefly talk earlier. So you've opened up these like channels or gateways, if you like. So with the multidimensional, so who do you work with then?
Yeah,
Who are
so
your helpers?
who are my helpers? So as you helped me with as well, I've got very strong Arcturian connections from past life. I feel very strong connection with the Arcturian race.
Yeah.
even though that's not who I currently work with, it sits there and there's that big connection there. Palladian is another massive
Mm,
connection for me with my artwork and all my light language, and that race is who is supporting me in relation to the Pleiades. And the Galactic Council of Light I work with an awful lot as well. And I have connections with beings. One of the images that I have seen is like this pyramid of galactic races that just go back and back and back and back. And it's as though they're sitting in a queue waiting for me to move to the next. So for at the moment, the Palladian and the Galactic Council of Light are the main beings that I'm connecting in with to do my work.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you create these artworks. Is that what you would like? An activation artwork, I suppose. Is that the way you would
Yeah.
describe it?
So just to go back in time a little bit about my light language and how that evolved. So the
Yeah.
light language came online when I did my Reiki attunement, literally overnight. I woke up one day and I was like, where are these words coming from? I was
Mm,
like saying things when I was sitting in meditation. I just had this urge to say stuff that didn't make any sense to me. Didn't really know a lot about light language at that point. I think
yeah.
a lot of people think, like, when you do know about light language or you speak it, it feels like the whole world knows about it once you dive into it and
Yeah.
actually see how much is online. But if you speak to most people, they don't, that sit outside of this world, they don't know what it is. And
No, never
I
heard of it, have
no,
they?
and I didn't know what it was at the time. And I started to draw. So the drawing and the speaking and the hand symbols, it kind of all came online at the same time. Everyone's
Mm,
journey is different, but it all came together for me at the same time. And I just started kind of like just doodling and casting my mind back as well. When I was a child, I would draw very similar. So I just remember drawing similar. I doodle all the time,
yeah.
and also would pretend to speak foreign languages all the time, thinking that I was speaking a language. I'd just make foreign languages up. So I think my light language when I was very little was definitely online, and obviously,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. But um, so yeah, so I started to kind of just doodle, and started to translate really what I was receiving. So I'd receive messages, I'd draw it in light language, or I'd write it in English, and then I'd write it in like symbols.
Okay.
I kind of just rolled with it, Tracy. I had no real idea what was going on, but I just thought, well, this is clearly the next step of my evolution and
Mm,
in my spiritual practice. But as time went on and on, the images that I was creating became more, I want to say complex, but they became more complex. They became far more
yeah.
detailed. And then I started to receive pictures in my mind of not the finished how it would look at the end, but the outline of the main images that I would be placing within it, whether that be circular, triangular, whatever the shape is that I'm placing within it. So I would then begin to draw that out, and then the coding and the channeling would come through, and then I'd create the whole piece itself. So
Oh,
that is, it's one of
yes.
those things that's really quite hard to explain.
Yeah. Do you know what? When you were saying that, I just thought, oh, wow, you translate it into English and light language. So people, if they are seeing it, they can actually see what it means in English as well.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
I create a piece of artwork, people will always receive a covering letter from me explaining what I've received and what the symbols and the coding within the piece of artwork that I've created means for them. So I receive that messaging, and I'm being told as I'm channeling it through what I'm being shown through the symbols that I receive, both in my
Yeah.
mind's eye and how I feel is done through feeling as well, and through
Yeah.
sound. I hear certain sounds and I know that it's very automatic. I'm almost in like a trance meditative state when I'm doing it. I don't really know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
rough idea because
Yeah.
I'm only I'm not in full trance. I'm in that semi state, but
Yeah. In the
it's,
flow. Yeah.
yeah, but it's really sacred. It's
Yeah,
like,
I get that.
yeah, it's very kind of like when somebody asks me to create a piece for them, it's quite ceremonial and sacred
Mm.
when I'm doing it, and it just, I don't know, it's quite hard to
Yeah.
explain, but it's really powerful.
Yeah, I get you. Um, I mean, anyone listening to this thinking, oh, yeah, it's okay to do these symbols and things like that, unless you've actually tried doing it, it's quite hard to actually just try and do it, isn't it? If it's
Yeah,
not aligned to you and you're not in the flow and it's not meant to be for you, you will really struggle. You might make something with things on it, squiggles and stuff. But to actually do it like you do it, you have to be sort of, it has to be your thing, doesn't it?
yeah, I
It
think so.
has to be.
I get quite a few people contact me saying, I think I'm drawing light language symbols, but
Yeah.
I don't really know. Could you have a look at this for me? If you think that you're drawing light language symbols, then you are, because it's not a 3D thing. So
Yeah.
it's not, if that's what you feel that you're doing as part of your spiritual practice, or through your whatever it is that you're doing, then the chances are that that's exactly what is happening.
Mm.
I strongly believe that everyone has the ability to speak the language of light, um, and that everyone has the ability to write the symbols. It's a bit like everyone has the ability to be very highly intuitive, and everyone has the ability to connect in. We all do. It's why we're here. They want us to be able to do this. It's why we were born now in this lifetime. But not everybody. Some people are really scared of it,
Mm.
and it is true that it comes more naturally, in inverted commas, for some than others. But there is, I think there's a bigger story behind that as to why that is. I
Mm.
feel I'm here to do this because this is what I'm asked. I'm here to help other people to step into their power of it,
Mm.
and to overcome any fear that they have around that connection, and to, yeah, I feel that's part of my role. That's why I'm here to do this work, and why it literally feels like the most natural. I mean, I can be on the phone to somebody and all of a sudden, like,
You know,
it's just
yeah.
coming. It feels as natural as me writing out my ABC.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I mean, this is why I like doing these podcasts, right? Because you see things that people do and create, and you think, oh, they're lovely. I wonder if that really is. Yeah, and then you have the conversation, and then you end up with no doubt that this person is actually doing genuinely what they say they do. It just comes across in the way that you explain it, um, the things that you create as well. I mean, because I've known people before to say things about light language. It's one of those subjects, isn't it? Like people think, oh, that sounds a bit really, a bit silly. Are they really doing it or whatever? But it's another step to start creating it and writing it and doing what you're doing, like the activations and things like that that you create. For people just to think you're doodling. Yeah, you're
Yes,
just creating a little bit of, oh, that's pleasant to look at. I like that. Do you know what I mean? Not realizing what has gone into it, what the intention is behind it, and
yeah,
the energy that's coming and where it's come from, and that it's a sacred piece of work. I think that's
yeah,
the
no,
point I'm trying to get to. It's like that's what it is.
yeah,
So like
definitely.
when
I
you're
think,
looking at these things, you need to. Some people need to understand that that's where it stems from. It's not just a lovely thing that you can look at.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, if you go onto Facebook or anything and check out these light language pages, there's quite a lot out there where people are trying to find their tribe and find and connect with people. And you go on
Mm,
YouTube and you see things. A lot of people create this work digitally. There's nothing
yeah.
wrong with that. I've created pieces that are digital, but they don't. I stopped doing that because I would never sell a digital piece. It's not to say I wouldn't create prints out of the original pieces that I create, because the
Mm.
energy is within the piece of art.
Yeah.
It's not to say that people that create, it's not about me saying that people that create digital pieces are not as good as me or I'm better. It's different. But there's something very, very sacred about, for me anyway, and this is my truth, about holding a pen or a pencil and the energy flowing through my body out of what I'm holding into the material that I'm using, and that exchange of energy. I'd be interested with people that listen to this whether they feel differently when they're looking at something that is hand drawn and
Yeah.
channeled hand drawn, and whether they feel differently looking at something that is created on Procreate. Because I've
Mm.
done that, I have done that, and I do it, and I enjoy doing it because you can create some amazing things, and it looks beautiful. And I follow some people on social media who create the most incredible pieces of light coded artwork using digital creation. But for me, it doesn't work for me, and that's just me. It's what works for me, and it's
Mm.
about not what the person's receiving, but it's how they're receiving it through me. And
Yeah.
that is where the power comes, because it's coming directly from me to them.
Yeah, which has been channeled down for you to do this
Yeah.
piece for them. So you do commission pieces, do you? Or do you just do it when you're doing a session with someone and
Yeah.
you feel they need something, so you create it
Yeah.
for them?
So when people work one to one with me, then part of that is I will create them a piece as part of the work that we do together. But I do offer opportunities to have pieces created just on a standalone basis through commissions.
Yeah.
So the why would somebody want this is always
Mm.
a question, I think.
Yeah.
And these pieces of art aren't for, well, they are for everybody, but most people that are drawn to this are those that have already taken that step into their spiritual journey. They're already spiritually curious, because
Yeah.
they are quite powerful. They pack a punch. So if you've if it it's for you, if you've stepped over that threshold and you're already
Yeah.
starting to explore, you're already, doing the connecting in, and but there's something, it is a spiritual tool as much as pulling oracle cards or connecting in with source, or whatever your personal spiritual tools are that you use.
Mm.
They are a spiritual tool. So they if somebody comes to me and wants a personal commission piece, which is completely unique, no piece ever looks the same,
Yeah.
because we're all unique. It's their soul blueprint. It's their soul's blueprint, their soul contract, that they came to earth in this body that we chose, and all the rest of it. It's a remembrance. It's a remembrance of who you are at your very, very core, outside of all the stuff that's going on in the world, all the conditioning that you've had since you were little,
Mm.
all the ancestral stuff, all of the stuff before that. Outside of that, your soul is
Yeah.
sat within that piece of artwork through coding. And I receive that through my channel by connecting in with the energy of the person that's commissioned me.
Yeah.
So all the permissions are, because you've
Yeah.
commissioned me to do the work. So I'm connecting in with the energy of the client and connecting in with my guys, but and also their guide team. Their spirit team is the one that knows them better than my spirit team do. So I work with their spirit team and their guides and their councils of light, and probably beings that they may never have even connected with before.
Yeah.
Call them all in, call their higher self in, call it all in, the
Mm.
whole lot, and source, as of obviously, because again it all comes from that place, and that's all
Yeah.
channeled through. So the soul blue, so what the final piece is, it's a remembering and a recognition. Most people when they receive their artwork fall burst into tears
Yeah.
because it's literally as though it's the first time of it that have actually ever been seen, or they feel so seen. It's literally like pulling it out and sticking on a page and like, here you
Yeah.
are. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really powerful. It's really
Mm.
powerful. And what happens is there's a number, there's infinite layers through the coding. So
Mhm.
people will place it on their altars, on the wall, in their
Yeah.
in their sacred space. It's somewhere in their home or their office, and it will naturally radiate out frequencies that support the client. Just
Right.
generally, what it also does is that it has layers of coding within it that is taking them into aspects of their soul that needs to come up to the surface for them to perhaps heal in this lifetime that they have not touched on, because it's so buried so deeply that they don't even see it yet in their conscious, and it's in their subconscious, or they are aware of it, but it
Mm.
will bring up stuff, it will bring
Yeah.
things to the surface, it will activate people's spiritual awakening, it will activate their DNA out
Mm.
from carbon to crystalline, it will activate their connection to source, it will activate them on a level that sitting in meditation and just filling themselves up with platinum light is not gonna, it's just takes them to, it's like a whole new level. It
Yeah.
also is very healing, like I said, so it helps to heal those aspects. Like I had one client come to me who didn't want a soul blueprint. She wanted a piece of work that would support her on a grieving journey that she was going through. And she was finding it really hard to navigate. There was other aspects to that. So I called her guys, did all the work, but that was what we that's what we focused on.
Yeah.
But the final piece was purely to support her on that grieving journey. But within that isn't just the grief that she was experiencing over the current lifetime situation. So, oh
Yeah.
well, in 6 months, a year, or whatever, that piece of art has no kind of use anymore. It is layered with all the
Mm.
other wounding and healing, because
Yeah.
there's always layers to healing. You know that. So
Yeah.
so there is that piece of artwork will serve her for the rest of her life.
Yeah. So I understand that it's like a frequency. So once you reach that frequency, that bit's then activated. Then you go on to another frequency, and that bit's then
Yeah,
activated. So,
yeah.
so it just keeps giving, basically.
Basically, yeah. So, and because that's what the journey is, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's not an end point.
No.
Uh, so yeah, it's there's so many layers, isn't there? So yeah, 100%.
Oh,
That is really how the pieces work, for want of it.
fascinating.
You can meditate on them. People find that there might be certain parts of the image that they're particularly drawn to. There might be particular
Mm.
symbols, focusing energy on those, for them to receive the information they receive. I always create a covering note to explain what I've channeled through,
Yeah.
what the sort of what the sort of themes that have come out about, where what they need to know. Their guides tell me what I need to share with them. But as a healer, and I'm sure you say this as well, it's not my job to heal people, it's their job to heal themselves. And this is that stage where they have got a tool available to them to support them on their healing journey, as well as their ascension and awakening journey.
Yeah. You just supply the tools and things for
Yeah,
them to help themselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
and hold the
Yeah.
space for them. And that piece of artwork is, it is, it's always, I always bless it at the end. It's filled with, once the piece is created, it's then filled with light language and coding for the
Mm.
client. It's filled with that to make sure it arrives safely. It's a whole process of
Yeah.
creation until the point it lands in the client's home. Um, and some people ask them for their businesses. I've created ones
Yeah. That would be really
their,
cool. Yeah.
for their healing, for their healing spaces, their
Mm.
therapy rooms. Um,
Good idea.
because,
Yeah. I love that.
yeah, yeah, that's been pretty cool because obviously it's for the client and for their business, but it's also for their
Yeah,
clients that are also
I do.
receiving. So it's like that
Do
ripple.
logos, couldn't you?
It's like the ripple effect. I know I'd love to. Do you know what I would love to do? I was thinking about this the other day because it came into my mind. I thought this is
Yeah,
clearly on a timeline then, is to create like a huge mural for a wall. How cool would that be? I'd love
yeah.
that.
How would you do that? Somebody's
But
health practice or something. Somebody's
yeah, I feel like it would be like a wellness, health and wellness centre
yeah.
thing. All my ears ringing now as I've said
Oh
that.
my
So,
God, get in touch with your local authority. Go to your like wellness centre and
that's
get it on the wall.
definitely yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really.
So yeah,
I know you'd just love to sit and look at that, wouldn't you? Rather than a blank bloody wall, wouldn't you look at when you go into these places?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. How cool would that be? Yeah, maybe I'll make some inquiries.
yeah, definitely. And I did say logos. Do you do the logos? Do you do those for people if they wanted a logo for their business?
Right. Well, it's interesting you should say that because you're not the first person to say that to me. And no, I don't, but yes, I would. So, so people
Yeah,
have come to me asking for tattoos.
yeah,
Um, and so you know, there there are endless things that I could do, but yeah,
yeah.
logos for people's businesses.
That'd be good.
And yeah, and I got asked last month to create something for somebody's goodie bag in their workshop. Because you know how people when they run retreats and workshops and things,
Yeah,
sometimes they create goodie bags, don't they? So I was asked if I would. I was going to the workshop anyway,
yeah,
and the lady that was running said this would be amazing if you could do this.
that's
So
really nice.
I
Oh, let's
created,
have a look. What did you
yeah.
do?
So this was in the goodie bag. Hopefully you
Oh,
can see it
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Obviously
I can see that.
it's a six-pointed star, as in the
Yeah.
medal. And then the theme of the workshop was all about personal power and stepping into that.
Mm,
And so that was what I channeled. That was this is what this is encoded with through the channeling of that. And everybody, I think there was about 60 people there, everybody that went got one of these. So that was
mm,
a real privilege. I was so grateful for that. And in order to produce that, so this is a collaboration I have with a friend of mine.
yeah.
So she's got a business called gorgeouslittlebits.com
Hmm.
and she creates homeware stuff like magnets and she does business to business. So she does a lot of wholesale out to businesses who have what's the word? Knick-knack shops,
Oh,
like, that
like
sell
little things, yeah.
homeware. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we met each other not that long ago, about 18 months ago. And I said to her when we first met, one of the first things I said to her, we're going to work together, Laura, but I don't know, but I just get this feeling. And here we are 18 months later or a year later. So she, Laura, I create the designs, I
Yeah.
send them to Laura, and then Laura engraves them on wooden plaques. So
Oh, so
there's a
she
select,
actually did the 60 of them. I couldn't vision you doing that for 60
no, so they're laser engraved.
lasered.
I
Yeah.
mean, look at the details. I mean, literally on the piece
Yeah.
on the pieces that are for sale on her website that
Mm,
I've channeled through, it literally is like having the piece of paper in front of you. I mean, it picks
yeah.
up every little. It's amazing. Her
I think there's a link to her on your website, isn't there, from what I
yeah,
recall? Yeah, so people can find. Well, we'll stick it on the bottom anyway. I'll
yeah.
find it.
So that's exciting. So
Yeah.
that's a way like people can receive these
Smaller
pieces
things, yeah.
in their home or gift them to people. Um, in a if you didn't not everybody has the financial
Mm,
ability to pay for an original piece, but yeah, there is
yeah.
lots of, and now we're looking at creating a catalogue for retreats generally for people to be able to come and purchase things for their
So,
clients.
how about doing a workshop? Do you do those? I think I'm channeling in for you now, but stop. That would be really good, isn't it, for
What
people?
an art workshop, you mean?
Yeah,
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 so you're not, that's the second time I've heard, you're not the first person to say that to me either about showing people how to connect
yeah,
in. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That would be really nice, wasn't it, for people that are interested and maybe want to give it a go. So I bet now everyone's dying to see a piece. What have you got to show us?
So I'll show you this one. This one I created, um, not that long ago, and the Palladian Council came through very strong. My Palladian guide came through very strongly on this one in particular. So
Okay.
this one is here. So this is created. I'll just push it to the camera slightly so you can see
We
it
can see
closely.
it. Yeah, I can. Oh, wow. Yeah, I can see. There's a lot in there.
Yeah. So
Oh,
this was so the material I use different materials. So this is on high quality black paper, sort
yeah.
of artist material. And this is done in silver, this one.
All right.
Um, but I
I
do
want to.
create
Is that
also
got a theme to it? Is it got a meaning to it, or
this
just?
this one, the title they gave me for this one was the vortex.
Oh, I whacked on today's 1010.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what they go. It's a very powerful um piece around connecting in with source for sure. And it's about going into the vortex of source light and
Yeah.
using, yeah.
Yeah, it's only
So
when you look really closely you can see all that fine detail. So how long would that take you to do that?
that took me quite a while. So I like to try and it takes me hours. I like to sit in one sitting if I can. Um but I can't always because sometimes they take me a long time.
Yeah,
So, I open the space up and this one again, I I didn't know I was going to create this. I literally got the image. I was cooking dinner the night before and got the image in my mind. And I was told you need to get this on paper, you need to get this down. So I nipped upstairs quick and just sketched out like not all the coding obviously, but just the
yeah,
shape of what I was shown.
yeah,
Um, and then the next day when I actually had some time to sit properly, because this was like 7 o'clock at night. If I start at 7 at night, I'll be there till like 3 or 4 in the morning.
yeah.
So,
Can imagine.
so the next day, I went
Yeah,
back to it, tuned in again, asked if that was still what I should be doing. They were like, yes. So, and then that was when I sat. So, small, much that a piece that size takes me anywhere between 4 to 6 hours.
yeah. Can imagine.
Um, Smaller pieces obviously take less, and bigger pieces take longer. For clients, I do try and complete it in a whole day, but I don't always. Sometimes
Yeah,
I'm told to stop and come back. They tell me if I'm getting tired, or they
yeah,
tell me if I'm, and I just sense that I am. But like all these things, you feel tired but energized at the same time because it's not my energy. So
yeah,
it's going from
yeah. You know
sort of
it the next day, don't you? Really?
the next day. So
Yeah,
I've learned my lessons, and I asked them to tell me, am I functioning at my most optimum right now? Am I function? And they will tell me if I'm not functioning, or if I need to take a break for 10 minutes, but keep the space open and not close it down. I just talk to them like, you know, they're on the phone, and they tell me what I should what I should be doing because it's so important. I can't just push through. It's not. I just can't
yeah.
do
It's
that.
not meant to be like that, is it? I get
No,
that.
definitely not. So
But
it
I've
can.
seen on your website that you do some like in cream and gold, so they appeal to me more, the cream and gold. So I wondered then, do they have like a masculine and feminine aspect to them, or is it?
No, I don't think so. No, I think some people will say to me, "I prefer this. I
Yeah,
prefer like the lighter background,
yeah,
or I prefer the darker background." Some clients say to me, "I don't mind. You go with what." So I go with what I feel is most aligned for them.
mm,
Um, Sometimes it is literally just personal preference. If people are
mm.
hanging it in the space, whether it ties in with their decor.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah,
Um, so it really is personal. But if they haven't got a preference, I will ask what I
yeah,
will know what it is that they need to. Some people send me a photograph of the room they want to hang it in and say, "Can you
mm,
feel what does this energy feel like for you?" That can be really helpful as well because it really helps me connect in much more with the client,
mm.
especially when it's a business piece. To
Yeah,
see the space that the piece is hanging in and get a feel for what energy.
yeah. And I can get that. Yeah. How do you feel about them putting it in their bedroom? Do you think that's too activating for them overnight, like when they're trying to sleep, or is that a
Um,
good place to put it?
I I think that I think it's really down to the individual.
That they feel drawn, I
I,
suppose.
I think so because some people move it around their home, so they'll move it around to like they'll have it in one space, and then it's a bit like if you, I mean, for example, I've got like crystal skulls, and they're in a particular place, but then some days I'm carrying them around like they're a back. Like they're a
Yeah,
boat.
okay. Yeah, I
And
do stuff like that.
my husband is just like, "What are you doing?" It's like I need to keep moving. It has to
Yeah,
follow me around.
yeah, yeah.
So I would also say that that's what you would do with the artwork, but it's very, very personal. I think some people, it depends on how they are really powerful. I wouldn't suggest putting it in your bedroom if you don't. If you, for me, this is a bit of a bigger conversation and picture around people's personal spiritual hygiene and their
Mm,
self defense when it comes to working in their spiritual practices and how clean their own energy is, their space
yeah,
that they're working in. It's a bigger story, it's a bigger
yeah,
conversation, isn't it? I'm sure.
yeah. Are you
I
into
don't
feng
think
shui, by the way?
I'm not actually.
Oh,
No.
oh, I studied it for quite a while years ago.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's hence why I move things about. So I
Yeah.
wondered if you knew about it. That's why
Yeah,
you
well,
move
maybe I just pick up on
intuitively.
energy
Yeah,
and stuff, and I will move things around if it feels like it's in the wrong place.
yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah, maybe that's what that is.
yeah.
I don't think
Maybe.
there's anything wrong with hanging the piece in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Uh, just know that you may notice that it's in your bedroom, and if
Mm,
you need to move it, that's okay. It's a bit like what if you're wearing like people often see me wearing a mold. I've got a moldavite necklace here that I very rarely take off, and I sleep in it as well. Now I could not have slept in it when I first got it.
yeah.
It would have just kept me awake all night long. Now it's okay because I've acclimatized to it, and it's yeah. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what I'll say
The
about
first
that.
time I got a Moldavite necklace, I had a great big download the next morning. Oh, it was awful. Awful. They're actually awful to have. I think I posted up a couple of, maybe a week ago or something that I got another one. It was like, does me in for the day. It's
Yeah,
horrendous.
it
Yeah.
is. I know, and I've been wearing this non-stop for about a month now, and the last few days I've noticed I've been getting a headache, so I think it's time to
Yeah.
take it off.
Yeah.
But there's a reason I don't wear it all the time. All the time, I go through phases of it. There's a reason why I'm wearing it right now, and then I will take it off and wear something different. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I never used to be able to sleep in it, but I'm told that I need to wear it constantly at the moment, so that's why I'm
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. I chop and change mine about. Well, I showed you the bracelet I got off
Yes,
Sixtina.
yes,
It's lapis lazuli. I don't know if I ever
yeah.
say that right. But I mean, God, she proper charges stuff up. I put it on earlier and it certainly opened up. I've had to take it off. So I've got to get attuned to it. So yeah, this stuff actually works, ladies, if you're going
I
to buy
know, is that
these
yeah,
things.
exactly. And I think it's just about becoming acclimatized. And the word that keeps coming through to me a lot actually at the moment is recalibration.
Mm,
I think there's so much, there's so much powerful energy going around at the moment, sort of planetary, astrologically, all these things
yeah,
that are going on. I think we're being asked to recalibrate ourselves and to, whilst sometimes we can't necessarily control how fast that might happen, allow yourself to integrate at the same time. So
mm,
recalibrate, then integrate, then recalibrate. And I think that's a real that keeps coming up for me at the moment for myself and also for clients. So yeah, there's definitely something around that at the moment.
I did. I felt that earlier in the week. What day is it? Thursday. Yeah, earlier in the week, I completely was wiped out, and they just
Yeah.
said to me, "You just need to rest." And I didn't even think I was doing any more than necessary. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I had to just rest. They said you just need to let things just calm down
Yeah.
within the system. So I don't know if that's solar flares going on
Well, I
or
felt like that on Monday. There was big solar flares, and actually, oh, my ears just popped as I said that.
yeah,
But
it was
but
that.
yeah, Monday, I was just I was wiped out Monday,
Yeah,
and quite a few people that I spoke to were feeling the same. So there was definitely something going on
something going on. Yeah.
this week.
Okay, interesting. Oh, so like, what have you got lined up next then? What's your next thing that you planned for
Well,
your future?
what do I plan next? I I have, well, I just created a 6 week program actually, and I haven't really been speaking about it very much, and it's because it's not quite aligned. It needs a bit of tweaking and refinement. So it's still sitting there, but I don't want to talk about that too much. But that
Okay.
is about supporting people around stepping into their power and overcoming fear and really shifting through that. And it's not for people who aren't already doing the work. So they've
Yeah.
already doing the work. It's kind of taking it to the next level. And I realized that I needed to shift the messaging around that a little bit. So that's still coming. Um, for me, the next thing around the artwork and the like is to get my artwork put into print. So that's coming. And
Lovely.
I've just launched actually my light language transmission library. So that's been something that's been in the pipeline for ages, and I finally launched that now.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so um, there's 5 transmissions on there at the moment that people can purchase. They're really affordable. They're 7.99 each,
Yeah.
anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes. They've all got particular. They're all for particular things. I think I've got one around releasing fear and anxiety, one around releasing and letting go of things that don't serve, just generally. Um, One to activate joy and playfulness and connecting with your inner child, that sense of joy. Um, there's an emotional release one as well, and there's a grounding and centering one. That one's been really popular actually because of everything we're feeling right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Are
So
these on your website then?
they're not on my website.
Oh,
I'll
where
give you
can
the
we
link.
find them?
Yeah, they're online. I shall I give you the link to drop into the show
Yes.
notes about
Yeah.
how to find them. I'll do
Yeah.
that then. Show
Definitely.
notes.
I'm sure there's people on here that's interested in this and would like to give it a
Yeah,
go. Or
I'll let
yeah,
you know.
right.
I'll let you know the link. So, um, anything that is like me having to deal with tech and pulling things together. I love the creation side, but the tech side is like, oh. So I always call
All
in my
that.
tech guides to help me, but it's like, but yeah, it's there. They're live,
Yeah.
and I'll just be creating more and more to put on there so that so that people can download them, and of course can listen to them as frequently as people want.
Mm,
They're yours once you've purchased it. They're yours forever.
yeah. And what about YouTube?
I'm not on YouTube actually. I'm thinking about starting a podcast.
Okay. Yeah, why not? Well, if you put them on YouTube like this, if you look on mine, there's YouTube and a podcast. So, because I know some of my people are working, they put their earphones in, so they just walk around listening to
Yeah,
it rather than watching it because they can't because they're
yeah,
doing something. So, yeah,
yeah.
why not?
I
Even,
do. I am being told that I need to talk more. So,
yeah, I know they did that to me. I mean, I do YouTube, but I resisted it for quite a while.
yeah,
I
I'm
didn't want
still in
to.
resistance. I can feel them like eye rolling me right now. So yeah, it's just like,
Yeah, I will say, once you get in the flow of it and you just forget that you're actually on camera,
well, yeah, I don't
it's
mind being on
okay.
camera.
Because, yeah,
I don't mind being on camera. It's just like this is all well and good, but when am I going to fit this in?
well, yeah, I mean, it did take me a while. It used to take me all day sometimes to try and work it out and put it up and all that. And I got to the point where I realised I'm not very good at editing, so just don't bother editing them.
No, that's the thing. No, don't
Just
worry
pick
about
them
the
up.
editing. No, exactly.
So that's what
So
happened.
there's quite a few things that people can access me via, and obviously you can find me on Instagram on at
Okay.
Joe underscore the underscore channel.
Yeah.
So that's the main platform that I work from. It cross links into Facebook though, so you can find me on Facebook on Joe the channel, and all the links to my. I've got a free Starseed light language activation that people can get if they don't
Okay.
go for paid light language and want to hear what my work is like. There's
Yeah.
loads of sort of little snippets of light language and my light work code artwork. There's a link to my website with my light code artwork so people can find a little
So
bit
if you
about that.
send them all to me, I will put them down below so people can find
Yeah,
everything. The
perfect. And
the
come and
other thing
follow
that
me.
just came to my mind, right, is because when everyone's channeling these beings, all the light language sounds different, doesn't it? It's got a
Yeah,
different tone to it.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And I
yeah,
think that I asked that question because when I started my light language journey, I was like, why is my light lang? Why if I'm channeling Palladian or Arcturian or Sirius, why is my light language not sounding like that person's over
yeah,
there? And then falling into complete, oh my God, is this just nonsense? Am I know, falling into self doubt and like what my guides told me was that actually it will shift. It has shifted actually. It will shift. It was just this was way back. So the tone the tonation of it and the sounds has shifted.
yeah.
But also what they told me was that it will just blend. It will blend and cut across. So they were just like, stop looking at that.
I know. I
Like,
mean,
they
I
were
do
telling me off.
Arturian, and Arturian's very like, oh, I can't explain it. It's not got a very soft tone to it.
No,
Well.
it's very well, obviously Arcturus is all about tech, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I
And
should be
that
good at
kind of
it then,
thing.
shouldn't I?
But it's very it's quite spiky.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
quite spiky, but it's yeah.
Yeah, it's completely different. I realise that. I mean, I haven't done it very often. I do it now and again, only private groups and things like that. But I remember doing it to my aunt and telling her, she's went, "Oh my God, it's
Yeah,
completely different to the nice blowy sound that some
yeah,
of them make." So
yeah,
yeah,
it is, but it's cool nonetheless. But yeah, there are a lot of people, and I think the other thing with light language as well, or either writ or light codes that are written, or the sound, or the movement, and all the rest of it,
mm,
you won't resonate with everybody.
yeah,
So you go on YouTube and you pull out some channels, and I did this in the beginning, and I still follow some light language accounts that I resonate with. Excuse
yeah,
me, but you won't resonate with them all, and some of them might actually turn you off.
mm,
So it's like anything in this with this thing. Use your discernment. If it doesn't
mm.
feel right, don't ask why does it not feel right. Just trust it. Just it's not right for you, and just
Not for
move.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's a fascinating subject, isn't it? And that.
it's
I've
all
never
about
actually tried writing it though. I'd
yeah.
imagine it would look like hieroglyphs if I tried writing it.
Just give it a go. You might surprise
Oh,
yourself.
that's great.
Hopefully, I've
When you do
inspired
your
it.
workshop,
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I've inspired people to just try, even if it. Someone says to me, it looks like a spider's wearing boots and stood in an ink pot and just walked across the page.
yeah.
Um. So yeah, just mine didn't look like that when I first
Oh,
started. So it didn't look. It's still, but it did take quite a strong form, which is what made me realise that actually this was definitely
yeah.
for me. I didn't just start sort of like with inky spidery symbols. They did take quite a strong form,
Mm.
but the number of symbols and things that I pull through now are just different. But yeah, just I think just give it a go. Just
Practice,
do
I
it.
suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like
Like,
anything, a muscle that you have to practice for sure.
yeah, yeah. It's just finding your thing, isn't it? And then once you find your thing, you feel that energy behind it to
Yeah,
want to create and carry on. If it's not really for you, it fizzles out, doesn't it? So,
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, if
yeah.
we all did the same thing, it'd be really boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, wouldn't it? Oh, well, thank you. I've really enjoyed our chat. That's been really great. So,
I really enjoyed it as well.
yeah. So when you do some other stuff, perhaps you put back on later on, and we'll do another podcast when you've got your other things
Yeah,
lined up.
I think there'll be lots for us to perhaps chat about again in the coming
Yeah,
month.
yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you ever so much for your time today.
Oh,
We'll
Tracy, it's my
put
pleasure.
all your links on below so
Yeah,
you
that's
see them.
amazing. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you. Lots of
Cheers.
love.
Bye.
Bye.